You blow the best.
Sound echoey.
Yeah, dude. Hello.
Hi. I'm Danny Knightmare. This is Gory B Movie, my lovely wife, who apparently had a party in here.
I did have a party in here celebrating Craven's 1-year anniversary. Christian, let us know if it's still echoing. Hopefully it's good.
What up, Christian Orr? We just kind of did an impromptu review right now because we just saw the movie Fall. Not a great movie for Googling. That title.
No.
That's an awful title when it comes to that type of stuff. But it was pretty accurate for what the movie, I guess. And, yeah, it's like in select theaters, so you should look and see if it is nearby you. And if so, I would say check it out. It would be cool if we could see this on the IMAX. I'll tell you that much. Still like we?
It's hard to check because I mean, if I turn on my speakers, then it will echo, but I don't think so.
Yeah, on the speakers on, it's echoey.
I know how to find out. Well, there's 2 people watching. They should be able to tell us.
Yeah. Anyways,
We could just watch it really quick.
if that's what you want to do.
Oh yeah, we can't hear it because our speakers are off. I don't know. Someone tell us if it's echoing.
Don't worry about it, I guess.
Okay.
So, so it looks like, yeah, anyways, it's pretty much the poster tells you right there. These 2 girls are climbing up a really high tower. They were recently on a climbing trip. One of them was with her husband, but they were both there. We had, Becky and... Hunter and Dangerous D. She goes by her YouTube handle.
Well, Hunter is Dangerous D.
Yeah, Hunter, but she goes by Dangerous D in her YouTube handle. And they were with Dan, Becky's husband.
My best friend's named Becky, and my husband's named Dan.
It's close.
What?
And they were out climbing a mountain one day, and sadly, Dan reached into some creepy little animal hole. This is the very beginning of the movie, and plummeted to his death.
Dun,
so,
dun, dun.
Yeah, Becky's been just drinking herself into death. She's on the verge of suicide. Her dad, Papa Winchester, aka Negan, Walking Dead, kind of kicks her in the butt and says, "Hey, stop treating yourself like that. I mean, it's okay to be sad, but move on. Mourn this guy
Basically,
forever."
just saying you're romanticizing your husband. Like he doesn't deserve to be placed on this pedestal.
And don't kill yourself just thinking about him. Go move on, live your life.
So I personally think you probably should have gone with more of hey, wouldn't he want you to be happy? But
yeah.
he comforts in his own way.
He's very blunt, like Negan's bat. So he goes about it all wrong, but he's right. She should move on. Hunter should.
He's right.
Hunter, she's like, "Hey, snap out of this depression. We're gonna go climb a tower and film it for YouTube." And Becky was gonna kill herself pretty much anyways at this point, so she's like, "Fuck it, let's do it." Though when she gets there, and that tower is really, really, really high. It's an abandoned tower, no longer used. The light bulb on top is only working because it doesn't want planes to
It's
crash into
a
it.
old TV tower, like
Yeah.
from back on the 50s. So it's out of commission. It just has a light bulb on the top so planes don't hit it. So yeah, this thing is rusty. It's old. It looks like nobody's even gone up of it in years. It's not something that's being maintained. It has a warning, like no trespassing sign at the base of it. But Hunter is really into like getting those thrills and obviously also using that to get them clicks and those likes. She's one of those people who takes the really dumb selfie before she falls to her death.
Yeah.
One of those kind of people because she's just a thrill seeker. But despite that, these are pretty likable characters. I think you empathize with Becky right away, and I liked Hunter. And despite the fact that I question some of their choices,
Yeah.
like Hunter's more concerned about wearing a push-up bra for the likes than like I don't know. I would wear gloves if I was going to be climbing up a ladder that much.
All the rust
Or
on your
have
hands.
some snacks just in case I get hungry. I mean, I'm always like a just in case packer. I definitely wouldn't be wearing Converse sneakers
Yeah.
on this trip.
She's an experienced climber too. She should know better.
But
whatever.
yeah, they got like a little bit. Yeah, we're watching the chat, Christian. They've got a little bit of a little bit of hubris. I think they're not being really mature and thinking this through. They think they're gonna go up there and be down by lunchtime.
Yeah.
But I think whenever you plan for a trip like this, especially something dangerous, you always need to prepare for that worst case scenario.
They got a drone with them, their phones, and they do take selfies of them hanging off the edge when they get to the top. And unfortunately, as they're climbing up, you hear this screw come loose on the ladder.
Oh, I know. Fucking Hunter does the thing that people always do. People always do this. When you're scared, one of your friends will be like, "Oh, look, this bridge is super sturdy. Look,
Yeah.
this ladder's super sturdy." And you know what? It never is. It never is. I saw Temple of Doom. It never is.
And so on their way down, the ladder collapses. It almost takes them down with it.
To give them a little more context. So when you go up, and it's about the length of 2 Eiffel Towers. When you go up, you're surrounded by this cage. So even if the ladder were to fall, you'd be okay. You could grab onto the edges of the cage. But then at the top of the cage part, there's another really long part, and that part's completely exposed. That's what she's sitting on there on that platform. That part's completely exposed. There's one ladder that goes up to a satellite, and then there's another ladder, and both of those, I think they said there's like 50 feet each.
Yeah.
They got about 50 feet of rope. And that's where things get really dicey. And that's where she's shaking the ladder. And yeah, that ladder collapses. So they need to find a way to get down to where the cage part is. But that's 100 feet down. They only have 50 feet of rope. They don't have any water. They don't have any food. The backpack is stuck on a satellite 50 feet down. They have no cell phone reception, and there's some creepy ass fucking vultures swarming around them.
Yeah, there was a dead coyote on their way up. Yeah, I'm glad you saw it, Ravi. Glad you liked it. Welcome. Yeah, so they got about 5 feet of ladder left. That's pretty secure to that top platform, but that's all. Down, like you said, there's some satellites about a good 50 feet or more, and then 50 feet of that. There's no ladder below that either. But their drone is in the backpack. It falls down to the satellite with their water too and stuff. So they're just up there roasting and sunburning all day.
Got another new friend here in the chat. We know our buddy Christian Orb. It's nice to see a couple new faces here. Always, talk to us. That's what these are about, is the conversation. This is not a supernatural movie at all.
No.
There's nothing supernatural about it. But I think what's kind of fun it's more of like a thriller, and I think what's fun about movies like this is there are everyday things that are scary, like open water. It's based loosely on a true story. This is by, I believe, the same producers as 47 Meters Down.
Same writer, I think.
And I think what's scary about these is they could legitimately happen. People do stunts and stuff like this all the time. And it's just preying on that fear of what if the worst thing possible could happen. And so, yeah, I get this a little bit of grief, like, why are you wearing Converse? But, of course, all these things have to click in place for the movie to happen. And I will say this is a really thrilling movie. Hey, Ben Graham,
What's
I love
up, Ben?
Ben.
Yeah, they got new vulture friends that are flying up there.
The vultures looked really great. A lot of times in recent movies we've seen, I've noticed a lot of CGI animals, which is fine. I don't want animals being, forced to be in a movie and stuff. And so usually it's like deer and stuff, animals that are really hard to train. But the vultures, I don't know if they were real, but if they were, they looked damn real. They looked real.
Some parts where they're definitely a practical puppet because hands-on parts, but then they're. I think some of the flying might have been CGI.
I never noticed anything where I thought they looked fake.
No, they looked good even when they were flying. So.
Hey, my brother Sigma's here.
What's up, Dusty?
We're gonna get to our rating in a little bit. But if you want, we rate things a little differently here with like a see it, skip it. But I'll go ahead and give you my rating. From 1 to 5, I'd give it a 3.5.
I'm gonna say see it. Like I said, if you have this nearby in a theater, I actually recommend you see it in the theater because on the big screen you get that big action. It'd be perfect to see this on the IMAX. I would have loved to see it on IMAX.
I would love to see this on IMAX. So what's really unique about this movie is they could have done this. They could have really done this cheap. Yeah. A lot of times I see movies like this where it's clearly a CGI background. They did not do that. They built this tower. I don't think they built it quite to the height that it is.
Probably tall,
but they did build this tower, and they wanted people to really get that feeling of vertigo, that feeling of being really up high. They wanted you to be there with them. And so to do that, obviously on this tower, you only have so much room. So they had to have the girls, the two actresses, film a lot of this stuff themselves from their point of view. And so like when, that big fall that's on the poster happens, like you feel like you're falling too. Like she's got the camera on her. Obviously they took safety measures and stuff. They're like, so we're actually going to throw you off a tower now.
Yeah.
But the way they filmed it is gorgeous. There's some gorgeous shots in this and none of it looks fake. I didn't notice any CGI in here. I think one part where I was like, I don't know, maybe it was just a really starry night. I was like, there's a lot of stars in that sky, but they are out in the middle of nowhere, so there could be.
Yeah. I think they used a lot of just film trickery to get that extra height on the tower, but other than that, yeah.
And
really on the tower.
It says IGN because I couldn't find this poster anywhere online, and IGN released the poster online. This is only playing in select theaters, and it was really hard to find the poster online. It's really hard to find at theaters. You might need to drive a little out of your way because it is in select theaters, but I think it's 100% worth it. I'm really bummed that this didn't get a wide release because this is 100% a movie you want to see in the theater. Yeah. It's got a gorgeous soundtrack, gorgeous score. It's got incredible visuals, but when I see a movie in the theater, I mean, I might be super stoked about a comedy, but I'm like, I can wait for that. It's gonna be just as good at home.
Yeah.
This. You want to see this on that big screen.
Like I said, I wish I could have saw it in IMAX.
I mean, it's worth driving out of your way to go see this, 100%. I just wish that you didn't have to. Yeah. But this is 100% worth, driving an hour and a half out of your way to go see it on that big screen with that big sound. Because, and honestly, sit as close to the front as you can. I saw one guy's review, A to Z. He said his heart rate monitor went off because he had so much anxiety. And I'm not a jumper when I watch movies, but there's a couple places in here where I was like on the edge of my seat, like, holy shit, where I jumped really big. My heart's racing.
I don't think it's a one-time watch. You've already seen it twice.
I've seen it twice. Because we saw it and then I really wanted my son to see it. So I went and saw it with my son and his friend. But they didn't like it as much as we did. But it's even better on the second one because they did put a lot of attention to detail in this movie. Like I kept telling my son, I was like, pay attention because this movie is so good with that foreshadowing. Everything that they're going to do with the climax, they set it up so beautifully. There are some twists towards the end. And if you pay attention, you really pay attention, you're going to be able to kind of know what's going to happen. But you really got to pay attention because it's not like in your face, like little clues. But yeah, there's so much of it where you think like that's just going to be like a throwaway thing. Very early in the movie, they're pulling out into a highway and they nearly get wiped out by a truck. And you're like, okay, that's just a random thing. It's a random trying to make you jump scare. No, that comes into play later on. Like it's so perfectly plotted.
We'll get to the spoilers in just a second and we'll explain how that comes. But for now, like I said, I definitely say you should see it. Go out of your way if you can. If not, I'm sure it will eventually end up in streaming.
I don't want to get into the spoilers just yet, because I don't want people watching to it spoiled. I think we have more we can say. Mummy's here though.
That's true. Hi, Mummy. How you doing?
A question in the chat is, what would you have done in that situation? Actually thought about this. We talked about this today.
Well, they think that their phone service will work. Their phones will work if they're on
They
the
know
ground.
it will.
Yeah, because they tweeted something like or Instagrammed something of the dead coyote, so they know that their phone worked right before they climbed up. So they want to get their
Yeah.
phone.
They know the service issue is not about where they're located. It's about the tower. The tower's causing interference. So if they got low enough down, definitely somewhere by the bottom, they're gonna have service.
So they think about like how to, in school you don't break the egg by throwing the eggs off there, but patting them and stuff. They try to do that with their phones, but I would have just took those shoelaces from those Converse and tied that phone to the drone and just gently lowered it to the ground. That way you could bring it back to you and see if it worked. That's what I would have done.
Yeah, I think that's really smart. Another thing that we notice is they have a little bit of ladder, and when she tries to get down to the satellite, she's short by just about 2 feet, so she has to unhook her harness, and you're just like, oh shit, she's up there without a harness. It's really scary. I would have clipped on as low as I possibly could onto that ladder just so you have a little bit more harness.
Yeah, they had it anchored around the
so
pole.
Because when she jumps onto that satellite, that's scary. Which is effective. It's effective. But if I'm in an actual situation where I want to survive, they got about 50 feet of rope. So it's about 50 feet to the satellite. They have just barely enough to the satellite. So even if something happened with the drone idea, then I would have used the other 50 feet, clicked onto something around the satellite to get back down to the cage.
Well, they would have needed to do that anyways to get the drone. But
yeah,
that's what I would have done once they got to the drone. Because it's anchored around the top of the pole. That means the rope is going over the platform, and that's taking away a good 7 to 8 feet right there. That if you had it on the lower part of that ladder, you would have got a good 10 more feet.
And you need to do a little bit of suspension of disbelief in this movie. I watched this with my son. I thought he was going to really like it or at least be scared because he's afraid of heights, but he was kind of nitpicking it. Yeah, movies like this, you're just like, why'd you wear fucking Converse? Yeah. Why'd you do this? That's fucking stupid. Why don't you just use the drone to lower your phone? I mean, you kind of got to go with it a little bit. A couple things, I will say my couple complaints without spoiling anything. Because, Zygma mentions those towers in real life would sway. Yeah, one, they're meant to have some give so that they don't just collapse. So they would be swaying a lot. The other thing that I found a little hard, but I was like, just go with it. It's a movie. Is as soon as they get out of that cage area, she does say it's going to be windy. They're standing on top of that pole, on top of that landing, and they're barely holding on. Yeah. You would have to really hold on. It would be so windy up there. And I think it would be hard to breathe.
Especially later, there's like a storm, and yeah, there is some wind and some sway, but there'd be a lot more in real life. Sadly, I went to high school with a guy who it was his job to repair towers, and yeah, he fell to his death because they're no joke.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a movie, so it's one of those movies where you're gonna have fun if you don't completely nitpick it. The other thing is, it's one of those movies where you're like, how fucking much cell phone battery do they have?
Right? Yeah. There's things like that, and also just like I said, what I would have done. That's especially because the chat asked. But it's easy to say that when you're watching it. I mean, who knows what I really do in the situation?
You're in a
try to be smart like that, but it's easier to
just like what Ben and what everyone else is saying in the chat. Yeah. It's easy to, when you're calm and in your house and you're warm and you're safe, to say, well, This is what I would do, because you have the advantage of foresight. I mean, honestly, one of my other thoughts too was, which I don't think would work because their plan didn't. Well, it's minor sport, it doesn't work. I thought, chuck that phone. At least it will text before it hits the ground. I think, though, watching the movie, I think the problem is the phone, when they drop it, it hits the actual cage. Yeah. And it breaks way before it even has service. But, my plan, I probably would do so. I definitely would panic a lot more than these girls would be. I'd be crying. I'd be freaking out. I would be a lot more panicked. I'd probably do some really fucking stupid stuff.
Exactly.
Granted, I wouldn't climb up one of these fucking towers anyway.
I usually answer questions better when I'm watching a game show, but I'm sure if I was in the game show, it would draw a blank of what I'm supposed to answer, so.
What's really cool about these girls, though, is they are badass.
Yeah, they are.
They're physically in some great shape, because I'm also not in this good a shape. I'm not in good enough shape to hang one-handed from this fucking tower. They're doing crazy stuff even before they realize they're in a life or death situation.
Yeah, I mean, they're experienced climbers, so that makes sense. But yeah, they're impressive. I'm like, dang.
But yeah, they're impressive, and I think they got some great stunts in this movie. The only other thing, and this isn't a spoiler, and it didn't ruin the movie for me, But I wish we could have seen more of the conclusion. Like the ending, I feel like it skipped a big thing that I wanted to see. And that was a little frustrating for me.
Yeah. I think that point maybe they just ran out of budget. But whatever they spent their budget on, I say they did it well. So
But yeah, it's absolutely great. I really wish I could have seen this in like IMAX or something, because it would have just been incredible just to be surrounded, in a big IMAX theater with this. This is, those like dome ones they have in like Seattle where it's like on the ceiling. This movie would be rad.
Exactly. Like
or on VR. I don't know if you can watch movies on VR, but damn, this movie would be a trip.
Yeah. So I don't know if it's at the very top.
Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to comment on what Ben said. I was on the edge of my seat because I don't know if you've ever had like a light, a lamp that's kind of going out. Mm-hmm. I had one every time I clicked to turn it off, it would shock me a little bit, and sometimes worse than others but I was poor and it was like my only lamp because I was in college. But yeah, so when she's doing that life hack with the battery charger, oh dude, I mean they do this early on in the diner. She asked the waitress if she can charge her phone in here, and she's like, power ain't free. And then she's like, hey, look at this life hack, and she like unscrews a light bulb and pops it in there. I would be terrified I'd be electrocuted.
Yeah. Uses her ring conduit. Anyways, I don't know if this is at the very top of my horror movie of the year list, but it's high up there. Like, it's really high up there.
Oh, nice dad joke. Yeah, I was really surprised that this movie dropped in theaters so quickly.
Dropped pretty quick.
But, honestly, I think I kind of fell for this a little bit.
I fell for it. Fell hard.
I'm having a good time. We have fun here. And another one, I mean, it was by the same producer, was 47 Meters Down, which I don't like the sequel of that one, but I thought 47 Meters Down, it's comparable. So if you liked that one, it's like that, just up instead of down.
The opposite story.
47 Meters Down was about two girls who go cage diving to see sharks, and the cage drops and they're stuck 47 meters down. Yeah. Very suspenseful. I do think there's one thing in particular that was, they just did it again. So it was less like, whoa, the second time. But I still didn't really see it.
Catch you off guard.
I didn't know they were going to do that, so I was still surprised.
Yeah. I'm just thinking if the writer or whatever makes a third movie, he needs to find a new trick.
Then actually, they really were on a tower. They built a tower for this. I don't think it's as high as that. But yeah, that's all real footage. They had the girls, some of it they did with a drone. But a lot of it, they had the girls film themselves, which is really impressive. I mean, that's why I think you need to go see this movie. It's just the way it's filmed is so incredible. I think if it was done with CGI, you would have been able to tell.
Yeah, like I said, they use trick photography to make it seem higher than it really is. But they are on a tower that they built.
They are, and the girls had to film a lot of it themselves, which is just incredible.
Yeah, like there might have been like a big tower that they used for some of the wide shots that they didn't really have them go up, but the ones that they're on, they might have just made a replica that's smaller, but it's still pretty high up, obviously. Anyways, well, like I said, I recommend it.
I recommend it too. If you can see this in the theaters, like I said, select theaters, which is such a crime. Because I think, honestly, this is one of the best theater experiences of the year. And I highly recommend, even if you got to go out of your way a little bit, if you can go find a theater where it's showing, go check it out.
Climb to whatever theater you can. Eventually, I'm sure it will drop in streaming.
Yeah, it's awesome. Bummer it didn't get a wider release. Yeah. But it's definitely in probably my top 5 of the year.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's high up there.
It's up there with so far I would say Fresh is my number 1. I also really liked Prey. I liked this one. Orphan First Kill, surprisingly.
Stay tuned. We will do a Fresh one soon.
Loved Fresh. That's my number 1 with a bullet.
So let's just talk about a little bit of spoilers real quick and
All right.
wrap it up. So you're being warned. Spoilers.
Give them a little spoiler break.
If you want to peace out, we totally understand.
So this weekend, this Friday, well, a little segue here while you guys leave. This Friday, we're celebrating our 10-year wedding anniversary a month early. We're heading down to Hollywood Horror Nights.
Yeah.
And we're going on the RIP tour.
Yeah, it's going to be
I'm
awesome.
excited.
So there'll be a little video coming soon about that. I'm not going to film like all of it. I don't think you can film much of it anyways, but I'll give you glimpses of our trip. It'll be great. And also, we got an unboxing that'll be up very shortly.
Yep, and our new camera. I'm excited to see the footage.
And, of course, tomorrow night on Gory's channel, you got the fight night.
Sunday, fight night on Gory B Movie.
You got vampires, right?
Vampires. People are super excited about this one. Hashtag Gold did vampire.
All right, let's just talk a little bit about
Oh, and Wednesday, Halloween.
I mean, I don't want to dwell too much on the spoilers, but here's a little bit. All right. If you've seen 47 Meters Down, the big spoiler is...
It's the same thing.
Exactly.
It's the same thing.
In that movie, one of them died, and the other one didn't realize until the very end.
Yes.
Same here.
It's a little different because the reason Mandy Moore's character is hallucinating is oxygen deprivation.
Yeah.
So there's a pretty legitimate reason why she is here. Becky's gone through a lot.
Yeah.
And that's a lot for her to have to deal with. After losing her husband, now she's lost her best friend. So it's more of a hallucination.
And that plus the sun, probably. All that sun exposure. But she doesn't realize she's on the tower, and she's been on the tower by herself for quite a while. Vultures try to eat her. She eats the vultures.
Give away everything. I know Dusty's still watching. I don't want him to know too much.
Yeah. Well, anyways, like I said, those puppets are those vultures, though. That's the part where they're like actually eating at the girls.
I thought it looked
good
really
gore. I just mostly want to
though.
mention that because the gore is good. Like, it looks really good.
Yeah, it's not a super gory movie. I mean, they
No.
had opportunities to make it worse than it is. Like, there's some injuries that are infected, and you know, it's not a gross out movie. They're really trying to make and emphasize that fear of heights. The only other problem, and I talked about this briefly, I'm trying to keep it still pretty vague, even though we are talking about spoilers, because I really just don't want to spoil this for anybody. But the only thing that really frustrated me is the whole movie. I'm just like, how, even if help comes, because they're really contingent on, we're gonna, you know, we made a lot of noise with dropping the ladder. Someone's gonna come. We're gonna drop the phone. Someone's gonna come. They're really relying on somebody coming
shooting
to
a flare.
They're relying on somebody coming to save them, which that part for me, I would be like, I need to find a way down because they don't know. They don't know if anyone's coming. But my thought is, how the fuck can anyone save them? I couldn't figure out how anyone could save them. It's super high up, so I don't know what kind of ladder they could bring up there, and how are they going to secure it? The only thing you could do is a helicopter, but I was pretty sure even close by, that's going to blow them right the fuck off that tower. You know, my only thought is maybe if they were super high up, they could drop a ladder. And unfortunately, they don't show how anyone gets rescued.
We'll tell Mommy before we say goodbye.
Oh.
Anyways, yeah, that's the part. Like you said, it's so windy and wobbly. A helicopter would be really dangerous to save, so that itself I want to see, because I'm not sure they could do it, but it would be very dangerous in itself. And they're not on that platform at the end anyway, so I don't know how the helicopter gets close enough with its blades to where it does save her. It's off screen, and I figure they just didn't have the budget to show that and make it look good. So
I think that
was
would
kind
have
of
been
a disappointing. But
that would have been a great ending, because I feel like the way they do it, they're trying to give you like a fake out to where you're like, oh god, Becky died because you see the body bag, and I'm like, I know whose body that is.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
it wasn't, but I mean, it was still a great movie. It does not take away from my enjoyment from it. It's just that's something I was kind of like, I really wanted to see how that was going to get resolved. And, you know, I think just because this is a very low budget movie, they didn't. So I absolutely forgive it. But that's what would keep this from being a 4-star movie for me. Like if that was there, and a couple other minor tweaks, this could have been a 4-star movie.
Yeah. So those are only my real complaint, either as well as like, or just little things I wanted to talk about that involve spoilers. But yeah, I'm done, so we can turn that off real quick if you want to say goodbye to Mommy real quick.
Okay, it's safe.
All right.
It's safe. It's safe. We're in a safe place, guys. We're in a safe place. Mommy and Sigma, thank you guys so much. I know you guys checked out my Halloween stream earlier, and it is hard when I have guests on, because I really try to make my guests feel like they're, you know, welcomed in my home and give them my attention. So I don't get to talk to the chat as much,
Yeah.
but I did see you guys were there, and it means a lot to me that you guys always show us support and always, you know,
Really
watch our streams.
And anybody else that came, like Ben and everybody else, thanks for watching. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you want us to do one of these live reviews for either Fresh or Men or a couple other new movies that came out recently. Her reaction to Men is priceless. I liked that more than I liked the movie, I'll tell you that much.
Men fucked me up.
Men fuck up a lot of people. They fuck up this world.
I don't even know if I can duplicate what my facial expression was, but it was like jaw on the ground, like, what am I looking at?
But yeah, if there's any other movies that obviously we'll probably hit some of the bigger ones like Evil Dead and Halloween on here. But let us know what other 2022 live reaction or live reviews you'd like to see from us. All right, until then though, peace out, yo.
Don't you do the cut thing on this channel?
Yeah, cut.
Cut!
Cut that rope.